Hello, thank you for joining me here at Fahrney's Pens. My name is Drew Brown and I'm going to walk you through the unboxing of a very cool pen that is currently weighing down my thighs right now. So, okay. This is the Game of Thrones St. Dupont limited edition prestige writing kit. And there's a whole lot going on here. Apart from it being in a gigantic box, there's a good bit to unpack, literally and figuratively. So let's get into it. All right, this is the box. So it's lovely. We've got this beautiful gold combination of both of the logos here for the two companies. And let's open this up. Ooh, yeah, it's a nice solid box. The inner box is also gorgeous, very intentionally set up, very safely packed. But this is the box that, the keepable one. I'm trying to be very gentle, but it's very heavy, so it takes some effort to both lift it and be gentle at the same time. All right, so this is the box. It is wooed, and let's look inside. All right, we've got a suede interior on the wooden box here. It's really impressive. Very cool and very heavy, like just the lid. All right. And we've got a large foam block kind of resting in a wooden platform. And here we've got some literature. We can go ahead and take a look at this first. I know that this isn't probably the most exciting thing here. So we've got your cartridges. The pen itself, and we'll get into this in a bit, is a multifunction pen. You can swap out the grip sections to use either a fountain pen, which is why this converter is here, or a rollerball, which is why this rollerball refill is here. And then we've got some literature. Let's look at this first. This is probably the most, understated detail. I've got some stuff on my finger. So we've got a coin here, a little medallion with a hole in it that says, "Not today." And then on the other side, it says Game of Thrones, St. Dupont. So this is just a medallion. It doesn't serve a purpose in the display or the setup, really. It is a good luck charm. And if you've seen the show, you know that the "not today" is what Arya Stark famously says to death, or the god of death. Well, Syrio Forel, her sword instructor, says it. Anyway, we'll get into that later. There will be a time for the nerdy talk because it will happen. I'm a big fan of the show, but I'm going to try to keep it simple for the folks who just want to know what's in here. But there will be a time. So, collectible medallion, good luck charm, if you will. I always carry a coin with me every day. I think it's a fun little fiddly thing to have. And the "not today" mentality is a pretty good one if you wanted to stick to your guns and have a little token to symbolize your defiance of fate. Why not? All right, and now let's look at the pen. Why not? It's right here. It's easily accessible. We'll get to the display there in a bit. So the actual pen itself is technically a St. Dupont Line D Eternity XL. And again, this has a fountain pen tip and a rollerball section. It is currently installed with the fountain pen bit, but it is a really fun looking pen. So it's got several really cool elements going on here. Let's just go from top to bottom. We've got the D for St. Dupont up at the top. There's a crown located right at the top of the cap. In the crown, you'll see that there's an engraving. It says, "For the Throne." And then beneath that, the entirety of the cap is a map of Westeros. You've got some ships, some oceans, and some house sigils. You'll see there we've got the Kraken of House Greyjoy. We've got, of course, the north up there where the Stark direwolf is printed. And then over there at Casterly Rock, the Lannister lion. And then the stag representing House Baratheon is over south of King's Landing, over at the Stormlands. And then you've got this awesome looking clip with a kind of blade styled clip, and then the top of it is of course modeled after the Hand of the King brooch that the king's closest advisor and second in command wears in the Game of Thrones world. At the bottom of the cap, actually, is this the bottom of the cap or is it the pen? It's the pen. Okay. You'll see some more house sigils. You've got Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, and Baratheon, all rendered according to their depictions in the show. And this whole pen is inspired by the show. It's not a book-heavy pen. It is a show-heavy pen for anybody who is wondering about that. And then we've got some guilloche down here at the main part of the barrel. And this is inspired by chainmail. I can't say it's like very chainmail-y, but that is what did inspire ST Dupont to do this texture. All right, let's go ahead and uncap this. It does have this beautiful ST Dupont snap cap, and when I say snap cap, I mean beautiful snap cap. Feels fantastic. So here we have a gold nib, of course. And ST Dupont's nibs are some of my favorites because they do this thing where they wrap around the feed. As you can see here, the feed is almost totally obscured looking at the profile of the pen because the nib wraps around like that. It's really unique among the other fountain pens in the industry because of that, and I just think that it looks amazing. I mean, feeds are part of the pens. They're not ugly or you don't need to hide them, but they're also not like something that everybody is seeking to see either. So I think obscuring it in this way is actually really, really cool, and I love Dupont for that. And of course, I kind of skipped over the grip section here. You'll notice that there are dragons engraved into the grip, and they're very soft. You can feel them, but they're not a sharp engraving that's going to mess with your grip at all. It is a cartridge converter pen, so you can fit either a rollerball refill or a fountain pen cartridge or converter here. If you did want to add the rollerball section, it is fairly easy. It just screws right in and you grab the cartridge or the refill that is included and you are all set. Again, it's a very, very nice capping sensation. They try to make their capping sound as iconic as the ding of their lighters, which they're very, very proud of. So that is the pen. It's a lot of fun. And they've packed a lot into it without it feeling, I guess, overwhelming or just too much going on. I've definitely seen licensed pens take that approach where it's either not enough, it's just like a little hint and it's not fun enough, or it's too much, too over the top, and it just looks just like a headache. I don't think this does that. I think that it hits the bases. I really, really do. Sincerely, I would say if I thought it missed the mark. I'm a big nerd for Game of Thrones, so I don't think it misses the mark. I think that maybe more stuff could be on the map because I'm seeing things where I would, ooh, this would be this. Why don't they have the Doran sigil? Not necessary, and honestly, that would make it too cramped. I get it. We're working with a cap, so we can't have it so much. So I need to quiet the nerd brain there. All right, and let's look at this. So here we've got a dagger that will act as a letter opener for you. This is not a weapon. It is tiny, but it is mighty. Look at the detail there. Look at the blade. They have done an amazing job emulating Valyrian steel, which is a mythical metal in the Game of Thrones world, but it really does look like Damascus, which I believe is what kind of the look of Valyrian steel in this case is modeled after. But this is a very important dagger to the show. It shows up multiple times in both the House of the Dragon series and the Game of Thrones series. In Game of Thrones, it is instrumental in more or less beginning the main story of the show. And then later, coincidentally, well, not coincidentally, they did it on purpose, obviously, it is in a lot of ways used to finalize the show. So a very, very instrumental weapon to the show. It was first used for a would-be assassination and then showed up a few times here and there, but the showrunners really did use it as a pretty clever plot device in a lot of ways. So it's fitting that it should be included in this set. It's one of the more iconic pieces, especially now since House of the Dragon came out, the follow-up series to Game of Thrones. They've incorporated it even more into that. So this is very much a show-specific piece of Game of Thrones iconography. It wasn't really mentioned as much in the book, but in the show they've really leaned into it. And I love the fact that they included it and did such a good job with it as well. All right, so let's put this together. All right, so this whole top block comes out, and then here is the Iron Throne itself. And it's rendered really nicely. I think that it looks appropriate. Even the back has detail. Like that's pretty sharp. They didn't have to do that. St. Dupont Paris is located on the back. It's got, it's just really well done. Honestly, I'm really impressed by this. This is an impressive bit of detail here. All right, so let's scooch this. There's the pen. That's not the pen. This is the pen. There's a good, I believe it's kind of rubbery. It's plastic. It's not metal, so you're not putting your pen directly into metal. But there's a little hole there for the pen. I guess no, it's not rubbery, but it is not a scratchy thing. Throne, iron. This throne was forged by dragon fire, as we know. Completely out of the swords of vanquished enemies. And here is the placement of the cat's paw dagger, is usually what this is referred to as, but it's a whole lot more than that, really. And here's the set, the St. Dupont Writer's Kit for the limited edition Prestige Game of Thrones pen. I do know that this is a limited pen, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because the numbering is quite difficult to see. All right, this one, yeah, it's right there. Limited to 150 pieces worldwide. So not very many. So that is the set. If you wanted to just learn about the set and see what was in it, just take a look at some really cool pen stuff. There we go, we're done. But if you wanted to stick around for some absolutely unnecessary lore about this dagger that no one asked for, then now is where you can really get excited, because that's where I'm gonna go. I gotta put my nerd hat on, which I have, a literal nerd hat. Okay, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Let's start off, let's just talk about this dagger and why it's a big deal. All right, so first off, this dagger, I believe in Game of Thrones lore and recorded Westerosi and Valyrian history, first began, well, it didn't first be, as far as we know, it was first owned by Aenar Targaryen, and this was an ancestor of Aegon I, Aegon the Conqueror. We do know that it didn't start with Aenar, so it was around before him, so it's been around for a very long time. Aenar Targaryen was the Targaryen responsible for relocating House Targaryen from Old Valyria to Dragonstone, which is where we know the Targaryens have since made their home. That was a good idea because the Doom of Valyria happened, several years later. And guess what? The Targaryen house actually survived the Doom. A few other minor houses did as well, but it was thanks to old Aenar that not only this dagger, but the Targaryen house and dynasty survived the Doom. And about 100 years after the Doom of Valyria and after Aenar Targaryen did his stint as leadership of House Targaryen, Aegon I shows up. And as we know, Aegon, along with his sisters, flew out of Dragonstone and said, you know what, we are going to conquer Westeros. We are going to unite the seven kingdoms. Well, unite's one word to say. You could also just say conquer and subjugate. Or you could say unite. That's what they chose. And he became the king of Westeros, the king of the seven kingdoms, the first king of the seven kingdoms, and then establishing the Targaryen dynasty as ruler of the seven kingdoms. At some point, Aegon started having dreams of prophecies, and he had the Aegon's dream is what they called it, the prophecy of fire and ice, the prince that was promised. And he inscribed that dream, that prophecy, into this dagger. So when this dagger now is exposed to, well, not this dagger, his dagger is exposed to extreme heat, like fire, like they did in House of Dragon with Viserys, it will say, "From my blood will come the prince that was promised, and his song and his story will be the song of fire and ice," or something like that. And so that is Aegon's dream. He kind of prophesized the long night, the long winter that the Night King tried to have happen in Game of Thrones. And that prophecy, along with this dagger, was passed down from Targaryen king to Targaryen king to Targaryen king. Viserys I passed this dagger and its prophecy to Rhaenyra the first, who should have technically have been the first Queen Targaryen. That didn't work out, despite the fact that him telling her about the prophecy was pretty much like, you're the next, royal heir, because this is only given to and told to the next royal heir. That didn't work out. The Dance of Dragons happened, which is a big, big deal in Targaryen history, where the throne was hotly contested. And when I say hotly, we're talking dragons, so 'twas hot. And then throughout House of the Dragon, it was just still going on, by the way, this dagger was worn on the belts of a few would-be claimants to the Iron Throne and threatened a good bit of people, probably stabbed a good bit of people. It's been seeing some action. And again, at this point, we're very clear that the showrunners are like leaning heavy into this dagger's lore, because the books didn't talk about any of this. In the books, it was just a dagger. I mean, it was a fancy dagger, but it was not connected to Aegon Targaryen at all. But the show is like, no, this can be a big deal. So it's gaining more and more lore momentum as we go on. So time goes on, the Dance of the Dragons concludes. It's not pretty, but this does continue to make its way down the Targaryen lineage. Whether or not the prophecy makes its way down the lineage, I don't know, but the prophecy definitely gets out there because the followers of the Lord of Light, the Red Priests and Priestesses, they know about this prophecy. They know about the prince that was promised. So it's out there. I don't know if it's intentionally kind of bestowed the way Viserys did to Rhaenyra, but I don't know. Anyway, the dagger makes its way to the last Targaryen king, Aerys II, the Mad King. He's a loony. At some point, either after his death or before, because Peter Baelish, aka Littlefinger, is a sneaky son of a gun, Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, comes across this knife and gives it to a would-be assassin, the Cat's Paw, and he fails to kill Bran Stark with it. This, being kind of a piece of evidence now, goes with Ned Stark back to King's Landing, where it originated. Don't know, it just happens. And then Peter Baelish gets his hands on it once again and uses it to put to the neck of one Ned Stark, one good old Ned Stark. So in his betrayal, he uses this to kind of just say, "Ha, told you so, I'm actually a big old jerk, you shouldn't have trusted me." So yet another instance where this dagger is being used to threaten a very notable character. After that, it kind of goes into limbo for a lot of the season, but toward the end of Game of Thrones, it makes its way to Bran Stark, the one who was almost assassinated with this dagger. So he comes into possession of it. He is now without the use of his legs, so he doesn't really have a use for it. However, he knows someone who does. He is now, through various means and exposition details, blessed with a very impressive supernatural bit of foresight. So he knows where this needs to go, and he knows it needs to go to his sister, Arya Stark. So Arya becomes the new owner of said blade, uses said blade to kind of right the ship, balance the scales and takes revenge on Peter Baelish Littlefinger for betraying her father and a number of things that he did very, very bad with this knife. Again, he is at court, similar to where Ned was when he had this put to his throat, except Ned survived that. Littlefinger did not. Not only does Arya use it for that purpose, but she later, as most of us know at this point, uses it to destroy the Night King, the lord of all of the Whites and White Walkers. He takes one courtesy of one Arya Stark. This, therefore, beginning the War of the Five Kings when held to Ned's neck, and then effectively ending the series conflict by going straight into the Night King's chest. I think it was his chest. I don't know. He did. So the alpha and the omega in a lot of ways, this little thing. And then it's last seen on Arya's belt while she sails west of Westeros. So there's a lot of lore here. There's lore yet to be discovered, yet to be written by the showrunners and writers, where we don't know what happened to this in between the Dance of the Dragons and Game of Thrones, where Aerys II gets a hold of it. So who knows? We don't know what happened after Arya went west either. So so many people are going to get stabbed with this thing. So many people. Or monsters. Maybe not people. That's violent. So lots packed into this dagger. It's a super cool little chunk of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon lore. One interesting thing about this is that it does not have a name. Almost all notable Valyrian steel blades in the Game of Thrones world have names. Probably because this one wasn't really focused on in the book, so George R.R. Martin didn't give it a name. So I think we could together. Unfortunately, I can't hear what you're saying, so I'm going to have to make a bit of an executive decision here as the only one with a platform. So I'm thinking icebreaker, because Arya used it to end what would have been the long night, the eternal winter that would have seen all of Westeros and probably the world conquered by the White Walkers, the Whites, and the Night King, plunging the world into darkness. Alternatively, because I don't want to be just saying, hey, this has got to be an icebreaker. Sounds amazing, right? No. I want to take your opinion into account. This is a group effort. So I'm thinking an alternate, and we can vote on it. Chicken, than the knife. Hear me out. There have been a lot of Aegon Targaryens since Aegon the Conqueror. Obviously, he did a cool thing, so everybody wants to name their kid Aegon because he's the Conqueror. Woo! So there have been 12 of those. And one of them, at least, was nicknamed Egg. Aegon Egg. Chicken, Egg. Chicken and the Egg. It's a good team up. This is chicken, and it has been in the hands of at least, a good bunch of eggs. So, and also it came first. It came before Aegon the First. So the chicken came before the egg. It writes itself. It's good. It's good. Also, according to the book, which I know this is mostly show inspired, but hear me out. In the book, there are 12 notable Aegon Targaryens. What's another word for 12? Dozen. Dozen eggs? Oh, you're right. That's really good. Okay, you know what? You've convinced me. Let's go with chicken. Icebreaker's cool, but chicken is better. Thank you. See, that's why we're doing this, because sometimes you just need to hear it. So thank you. If you feel like you should be the next owner of the mighty chicken, then go to Fahrneys.com. Also, just in case, because I'm a nerd, I circle nerd circles on the internets, Instagram, Reddit, If anybody feels like this is the right place to say negative things about Season 8, guess who's going to just delight in deleting your comments? I can't wait. Challenge, go ahead, just try. Try to say remake Season 8. You're not going to see the comment. I'm going to be watching it like a hawk. Positive vibes only, y'all. be thankful that we got an amazing series. Okay, yeah, the last season wasn't the best. It's fine. Focus on the good stuff. Don't, If you want to say something nice about season 8, that's fine. Go for it. Seek to find reasons to enjoy it rather than reasons not to enjoy it. Or talk trash and just challenge me to just delete, because I will. I'll go. I'll do it. I'm ready. Anyway, thank you for joining me. For those of you who stuck around for the post video rant, the nerd hat will return, I'm sure, because sometimes you just gotta put on your nerd hat to get out what you want to get out. So anyway, thank you again. I appreciate you choosing to spend some of your what's clearly not at all valuable time with me, and I hope you have a great day.